Well, search giants like Google and Yahoo count on a web surfer's every move to generate their revenue, but a growing number of advertisers say they're getting ripped off because sometimes a click is more than just a click. Tom Cuthbert, president and CEO of Click Forensics, joins us now with his firm's latest fraud numbers. And Tom, when we talk about click fraud, we're talking about those manufactured page views that really skew the ratings, skew the numbers that give these companies their ad rates, basically. How bad is it versus last year versus last quarter?
Well, it's worse than that, Carl. It's costing advertisers money. And what we found is from Q1 to Q2 of this year, the overall click fraud rate has increased to 15.8%, meaning that percentage of clicks in what is a $10 billion market are clicks that advertisers simply should not be paying for.
Is that number, I guess, is it commensurate with the growth in overall online usage, or is it making up a bigger share of the legitimate stuff?
Well, it's actually happening in both cases. The online advertising industry continues to grow, as we're all aware, but at the same time, the rate of click fraud is increasing. And this is really due to a couple of factors. Primarily, this quarter, we've reported the increased activity in botnets, where users are unaware that their computers have been constricted and are being used for this type of activity.
It's called a botnet?
A botnet, right. A botnet is simply where there are people around the world that have access to literally millions of computers. In fact, the FBI recently reported they've identified 1 million here in the U.S. Another report indicates there's 250,000 a day around the world being constricted. And the user, the end user, the consumer, has no idea that their computer has been taken over for this, and it's used for things like perpetrating spam and click fraud.
Interesting. And a lot of it's coming from overseas, right?
There is a growing amount that's coming from overseas. We've seen that activity as well, and have identified several countries around the world that seem to be contributing at a greater rate than others. France,
5%, China, 3%, Australia, 3%. How big of a culprit is the U.S.?
Well, the U.S. is actually the biggest from a dollar standpoint, because that's where the majority of online pay-per-click activity is being generated from. And it's certainly something in North America that advertisers need to be aware of, but there's also attacks from around the world.
What's the solution, Tom? I mean, what are companies going to do about it, or what are they starting to do about it?
Well, what they are doing about it, our Click Fraud Network now has over 4,000 members, and these members are utilizing tools like ours and others to monitor their campaigns and make sure that they get what they pay for. Ultimately, the search providers need to be more transparent and need to work with third-party firms in the same way that Nielsen helps advertisers get what they pay for on television. Firms like ours do that in the online industry.
There's a lot of money on the line. Tom, thank you for that. Tom Cuthbert with Click Forensics.
Thanks, Carl.